The bell has rung, class is starting. Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about the psychology of guilt, those emotionally exhausting thoughts experienced by almost everyone in the weight loss process, and how this deeply affects our nutrition. Alongside this, of course, we will also discuss how to transform the foods we love into fat-burning foods. Today, I want us to finally decode how the restrictions and bans we impose on ourselves secretly rule our brains. What are the very first sentences you say to yourself the day you decide to start a diet? I will never eat bread or rice again. Today is the last time I'm eating a big piece of cake. I will never have it again. These are phrases I hear constantly from my clients. Does it sound familiar to you too? I know exactly how you feel when you say these words. I know the psychological burden and the weight of that feeling, as if you are eating your favorite foods for the absolute last time. Because I witness this with my clients almost every single day. And as you know, I went through the exact same paths while losing those 20 kilograms. Perhaps you crave potatoes for days, but instead of eating them, you prepare tasteless, bland meals for yourself. Yet, the feeling of helplessness, questioning, and maybe even the urge to cry while preparing them affects you deeply. In a moment of vulnerability, you might eat just one extra slice of bread, and then you spend your entire day consumed by that feeling of guilt. As your dietitian, I want you to trust me and finally strip away those emotions. Dieting is not something like this. Losing weight is not that kind of a journey. Yes, I admit it is challenging, but making this hard path a bit easier is entirely in your hands. It is absolutely possible to lose weight without depriving yourself of the foods you love. I have explained many ways to do this repeatedly in my videos, and I will gladly explain them again. But our topic today is different. Today, I will teach you how to transform the carbohydrates you eat, while punishing yourself into fat-burning foods, so you can consume them with total peace of mind. Let's meet resistant starch. Have you ever heard of it before? Foods like potatoes, rice, or pasta contain rapidly digestible starch when they are hot. When you consume these foods fresh out of the pot while they are piping hot, the enzymes in your small intestine break this starch down into pure glucose within seconds. Your blood sugar spikes rapidly, insulin steps in, and your body switches to storing fat right in your belly area. A short while later, your blood sugar crashes suddenly, leaving you trapped in a cycle of guilt. What if I told you that by changing the structure of these foods, you could prevent your body from perceiving them as sugar? The cook and cool logic. How do we do it? You cook your favorite food, whether it's pasta, rice pilaf, or potatoes, in the normal way. Right after cooking, you do not consume it in its hottest state. You wait for it to cool down, and once it is cool, you take it and put it in the refrigerator, letting it rest in that cold environment for 12 to 24 hours. Let's look at the biochemical process happening here. As the food cools down, the loose starch molecules inside bind tightly to one another and transform into a crystallized, rigid structure. The scientific community refers to this as retrograde starch, or in other words, resistant starch. So, what does our body do the next day when we eat that cold pasta? When that cooled carbohydrate is consumed, the digestive enzymes in the small intestine cannot break down these new starch bonds because they are locked incredibly tight. And the body gets surprised. The food that would normally be absorbed easily, when hot, can no longer be absorbed in the small intestine. Blood sugar does not spike suddenly, and the body does not turn on its fat storage mode. But do we have to eat ice-cold pasta and potatoes for this? Of course not. Taking the pasta, potatoes, or rice out of the fridge the next day, reheating it, and then consuming it is perfectly healthy. Because once the structure of the food becomes resistant, those bonds will not break easily, even if you heat it up. While you are eating your hot, delicious pasta, your body will continue to perceive it exactly like a dietary fiber. Thanks to this, your blood sugar will become balanced, and it will also have highly positive effects on your gut health. To put it simply, this undigested starch becomes an excellent food source for the probiotics in your large intestine. In other words, it increases your prebiotic count. The bacteria ferment this starch and produce a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. And butyrate supports metabolic health by protecting your gut wall. Butyrate travels through the bloodstream directly to the brain. By calming the appetite center in the hypothalamus, it triggers the leptin hormone and provides a deep feeling of satiety. Thanks to all of this, you end up making your body burn fat by eating the very carbohydrates you once saw as harmful and banned yourself from having. In addition to these benefits, because the body cannot fully digest resistant starch, the net amount of calories you absorb from these foods drops slightly as well. But as you already know, our focus is not on calories. It is far beyond that. The most important thing we must not forget here is food safety. To prevent these foods from becoming harmful, they should not be kept at room temperature for a long time after cooking, because a type of bacteria called Bacillus cereus can grow, especially in rice, pasta, and potatoes. This bacteria can produce heat-resistant toxins. For this reason, the points we need to pay attention to are: after cooking, the food should not rest at room temperature for more than 1 to 2 hours. It should be placed in the refrigerator while it is lukewarm. When taken out of the fridge, only the portion that will be consumed should be reheated. Constantly cooling and repeatedly reheating a meal increases the risk of bacterial growth and is not healthy. Finally, when reheating the food, make sure it doesn't just stay lukewarm. Ensure that the inside is thoroughly heated through. The foods where this resistant starch formation takes place are those with the high starch content. These foods include rice, pasta, whole wheat pasta, oats, barley, potatoes, celery root, carrots, lentils, fava beans, common beans, and quinoa. I will add the full chart to the screen for you. Yes, today I have explained resistant starch in full detail. This does not mean we will never consume hot pasta or rice again. Of course, we will consume them in a balanced way. From time to time, we will crave a hot plate of pasta with plenty of sauce, or a warm buttery mashed potato. We will consume all of them, but not all the time. With this video, I have shown you that by correctly consuming the foods you are afraid of without restricting yourself, you can actually make them burn fat for you. Today's homework. This week, you are going to choose a carbohydrate that you are normally afraid to eat. It can be any food you select from the chart above. You cook it, and let it rest in the refrigerator for 24 hours. The next day, you reheat it and enjoy it with absolute pleasure. Observe how your appetite changes after the meal, and share your results with me in the comments. May it be a week completely free of restrictions. Class dismissed.